Excuse me. How you guys doing? Is the sound okay? Can you hear okay? Hey, Adam, Eric, Javi, Abdul, Tim, Mark. Hi, Mark. Maison. Good to see you guys. Hi, Paul. Hey, neighbor. Dominic. Good to see you. Hi, RC. Heart charm. Okay, you guys. Can you hear me? Does the sound okay? Yeah, big sound. You're right. We've got a beautiful day going for us today. Hello? Sound and video good. Thanks, Abdul. Um, been having a few problems before. Okay, let's see what Miss Owens got to say. Before you get into the topic, remember I was asking about Moser perpetual calendar watches featuring the HMC 800 movement, which has two opposed flat hairsprings. Uh-oh. I was able to confirm from Tim Mosso that this is an evolution of the original double hairspring movement from the Henry with improvements to make it easier to manufacture. I bet that's right. The reason I say that, when I first got my Henry, I wrote to H. Moser and had a question about it and asked him how come they seem to be cutting it out. And he said, well, it's really expensive to manufacture. And I bet that's exactly what the new double hairspring does is that they figured out a way to do the same thing and to ease the process of manufacture. So anyway, thank you for that. Jerome de Marseille, how you doing? Hi, Graham, William, Huberto. Hey, Adam. Okay, let me tell you what I was thinking about today. Um, there's I wonder sometimes whether we manage our collections or our collections manage us. In my case, it's a little of both. Um, I've been trying to get a handle on it. My problem is that if I see a watch that I have wanted for a while and it's at a good price and I happen to have the be able to afford it at the time, I'll go out and get it, even though it probably doesn't make a lot of sense for me to do so. That's my terrible confession. Hi, DGB. So I'm thinking, well, I'm getting to a point where there's still watches I want to have, and I'm starting to cull my collection down somewhat, selling those watches that I don't that are duplicates or something like that. Over the weekend or earlier this week, I had done a video on the Easy Diver and the compared it with the Submariner, and the more I talked about the Easy Diver, which I had recently sold, the more I missed it. So it was like, boy, that's a great deal. What was I thinking? But then again, I have a Roger Dubuis sympathy that has the same movement and not quite as complicated in certain ways that I would never use. So those kinds of things, and I think every watch I've ever sold, I've missed. I haven't sold a single watch that or even traded a single watch that I didn't miss. So I don't know. Maybe I'm the worst person to even talk about this because I see a watch and if I can afford it and everything is right, I run out and get it. So but that doesn't really help, I don't think, in the collection of enjoying your collection. because I think to enjoy a collection, you've got to wear the watches. Now, that's my own philosophy. And this one, for example, my H. Moser Endeavor, um, I wound it up and thought, well, I got a week. I can wear it anytime I want to, and that's the way I wear it. The same thing with my Beauvais 1930. I'll wind it up, and I know that I can put it on anytime during the week, and it'll be ready. In the meantime, I'm winding up my other watches which I enjoy handling. But then I realized, yeah, I can't wear. I've only got two wrists, and probably only want to use one for my watches. I just I don't know. I know I'm rambling, but anyway, let me get some wisdom from you since I don't have a lick of sense. Um, Gilberto, you said the key word for me, duplicate, especially in feature or purpose. Yeah, I've got well. i- Here's, I suppose, the caveat to that. Um, a lot of my watches are time only, and that's the way I like them. I mean, not even with a date window. I have a couple, I think, with a date window, but not too many. Most of my watches are like this one. Just there's time only, and so if I have another one that's time only and with a sweep second, you know, it really, I don't know. Like I said, I I've got to be the worst watch collector you've ever met. Um, I because how do we control all of these, how do we control it so that we can enjoy it? That's the whole problem. I got a whole separate case. I think there's 6 watches in the case of my 736 collection. And, what should I do with that? Hey, tuna. Yeah, tuna's the same way. We're hopeless. Hey, turkey vulture. Anthony, good to see you. Hola, ¿cómo está? Hey, thanks, turkey vulture. Um, buy what you like. Life is too short. Yeah, I know it is. Especially for me, but the thing is that I don't know. The wholeness of clutter. Um, I don't know. Hey, John, which watches would you consider to be your permanent collection? Otherwise, never sell. That's a great question, John. Um, what watches would I never sell? God, lots of them. Let me see if I can. Neither one of my FP Jorns, um, neither one of my H Mosers, which I happen to like. Um, I wouldn't sell my Urban Jurgensen. I uh, wouldn't sell my Lyrique ever. Um, my Parmigiani, I like both of those, even though they're not as worn as much as I'd like to. But one of them, my Hemispheres, is one that I always take with me on trips, and haven't gone on a trip for a while. So I mean, I, I'm trying to figure out the ones I would never sell, and the list is getting shorter and shorter. Like both of my Daniel Rothes, the Metropolitan and the Retrograde, both are watches I really like a lot, and for lots of different reasons. And I don't know, the 1921, yeah, that's another one, Big Sal. I've had that thing. The my Van Cleef and Arpels Air DC at Ur Dayer, my Langenheim. Those I never sell them. I get uh see, I tell you, I'm I'm not very good at this. Trying to okay, how do you manage it? If I had the money in a minute and I happen to run across a Daniel Roth Papillon at a good price, I'd do something stupid and get it. Same thing with my Chanel. That Chanel, I'd wanted that for years, and, the thing is 40,000 bucks, and there aren't a lot of them. And I happened to run across one at a good price. I happened to have some money because I just sold some watches, and, sort of everything came together, and I got the watch, but it was sort of like, I I mean, let's get some reason from you guys. Abdul, you look especially reasonable guy. What do you say, Abdul? Trying to take different watches while traveling so it changes from city to city. Yeah. Uh, learn as you go. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Alexander. I never sold it. Yeah, okay. I like watches more than money. Yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. People say, "How come you don't sell that Resonance? That thing's worth a fortune now." And what would I do with the money? I couldn't buy another watch set like that. I am in independent phase at the moment. I do a yearly evaluation of my watches and sell one or two watches to upgrade. This year will be very hard. Yeah. Yeah, I know how you feel. Did you see the new Daniel Roth release by LVMH? I heard that they're going to do it. I haven't seen it yet, John. To me, that is those kinds of things I think are very important to the hobby because you're dealing with a really world class watchmaker, not just somebody who's slipping in a something else into the watch. Yeah, the DR Papillon, but just so expensive now. You're right, John. Those things are. Another thing I found out, there's another one, the Bulgari version of that same watch. I I don't know to what extent that is exactly the same or was simply with a Bulgari logo on it, or it is exactly the same. I'm not sure. Hey, Raj, don't see the resonance. Okay, Adam. Yeah, you're right. And I got several body parts that still work. You insure your collection. Sorta, I'll put it that way. I think here's my take on insurance. I think it's good to have insurance. It's always good to have insurance. But even if you have insurance, let's say that I've got everything insured and somebody comes in, they steal all my watches, and what do I get? Money? I would be unlike how can I find the ones that I have? I mean, they've been very hard to put together. So um, this is why if I go somewhere, they go into a bank vault. I've got I've got a bank. What do they call it? One of those private ones. They- at the bank, I go in and I have to take all my watches down and I put them in a vault while I'm gone. Um, otherwise, one thing too, these stupid bears that we have. I don't think any burglar in his right mind would come to our neighborhood to get a bear and get them, and they I don't know. It's that kind of neighborhood. Everybody sort of looks out for each other. And the interesting thing is that we have a very mixed neighborhood, and by that I mean we've got people from all kinds of walks of life, um, from professionals to people who are doing like have landscaping, things like that, and everybody gets along really well. We have a lot of diversity on our block. And so it's sort of like everybody knows sort of everybody else. They don't, I mean, it's not like we all get out and sing together. And I think that's important for a community. I was reading about Damascus, Syria. This is before all of the problems that they've had. But in Damascus, they said that, if you have a kid and you gotta go somewhere, the neighborhood will keep an eye on the kid for you, which is something I think is important for community. I like and ours is something like that. There was a kid, who had to go to a football game practice, and, his parents hadn't they got tied up at work, and so he came over and he asked me, he said, "Could you take me to my football practice?" "Yeah, sure." And he hopped in the car and off we went. Now, I hadn't been formally introduced to him or his parents, but I knew the kid from the neighborhood, and that's the kinda neighborhood we have, and, so that's another thing with insurance, that you gotta protect your watches, I think, beyond just having insurance, 'cause the homeowner's insurance will handle that, but that's not what I want. Also, too, a lot of the watches I have, they're so identifiable that it'd be very hard to sell. I only have 4 left, that are around 20 years old. The rest are within 3 to 5 years new. Charm, um, I I I I for the most part, I don't collect vintage. Even though I'm vintage, my watches aren't. I think about, there's certain watches like the, Daniel Rosses from the '90s and things like some of those early 2000s, but by and large, I like the modern watches. And when I say modern, I'm talking about early 21st century, not day before yesterday. A good safe helps, yeah. Yeah, I've got a good safe, but I'll tell you, when I had the safe delivered, a guy brings my safe to me on a dolly, and he pulls the old dolly in, parked the safe. I thought, a burglar, he could bring a dolly and run off with a safe. So I don't trust the safes. I think you'd need a wall safe or a floor safe or something like that. Okay, I rotate my watches weekly and wind the ones I don't wear. This gives me great satisfaction. Yeah, I've been doing more and more of that. I used to have a deal. I'd wear, the ones I'd make sure everything was wound at least once a week. But I got so many watches that needed winding because I prefer winding myself over automatics that happens. Okay, let's go back. Let me see if I can refocus on something after telling everybody I'm no, no help at all. Okay, so I mean, I think every collection has a rhythm to it, and by a rhythm I mean how you use your watches, how you collect them. I try to do mine in rotation, but what I found is that if I get a new watch that I really like, I'll wear it a lot more. Uh, and that's the way I am. And then after a while, I'll get used to it and then wear that. My when I got my Fabergé, it's really funny. When I got my Fabergé, what's it called Alexi, my Fabergé Alexi, that I got a great buy on it. It's got a great movement in it. Everything else about it I like, white gold. But I don't know about that style that much. God, I love it. Now I have a hard time not wearing it because I like it so much. It's funny that watches are that way. And what can I say? It's how do I manage it when I have those kinds of sort of going from one thing to the other? Okay, let's see what you guys have. You can rotate that twice. At one time, they say that Damascus was quite a nice city. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's one of the oldest cities in the world, too. Gilberto, I have a list of features I want and a number in mind. I intend to keep them once accomplished. Gilberto, you're a better man than I. I couldn't do it. I changed bands. Yes, that's another thing I've come to do is that if I get an itch for a new watch, I thought, why don't I get a new band? This is an example of this. I got this Jean Rousseau band, orange band, goes with my orange stripe on my shirt. Yeah, right. I'm a real fashion hound. What do you think of watchmaker Craig and Rebecca Struthers? Rebecca is the only watchmaker in the UK with a degree in horology. I think I've heard about her before, but I don't know anything about their watches, but they sound like they'd be really nice watches. I keep my expensive watches in an Invicta box. That is smart. That's a smart thing to do. Now, if you get a dumb burglar, oh boy, an Invicta, I bet they're worth a fortune, then you're in trouble. you you want to get a smart burglar. I tell you, that's one thing. Um, are the fakes? You can buy what they call replicas. You can buy a replica for not too much. And I think the thing to do do is take all your watches and put them in a shoebox and put all your replicas in there. And the old burglar come in and run off with all your replicas. I don't know. And they, yeah, but they gotta know. They have to be knowledgeable to know that it's the new Invictus, not the vintage ones that are some are very good to have. Safes must be bolted down to concrete. Otherwise, like you said, they take it away. Yeah, exactly. Um, like I've got one. It's really funny. I've got this great safe. I never use it even for papers. I probably ought to put certain papers in there, and lock it up in case of a fire or something. What about Harry Winston? Would you ever sell it? I really like my Harry Winston. Um, I don't know if I I just wouldn't want to. I mean, a bi retrograde. Why would I want to sell that? It's the only bi retrograde I have. But I know what you mean, fan. I do. Probably not. Um, hey, Caesar. Yeah, both the same. I feel like going out with replicas in dangerous cities is just asking for trouble. I'm not talking about going out with one. I, I'm talking about when you go somewhere, Abdul. You put your replicas in your watch cases, and then you take your good watches, put them in a shoebox, and hide them somewhere, and let them run off with the replicas. Yeah, I don't. Like this is a problem with this watch. It's gold, and you can, it, it's a H Moser and nice watch, but on a if I have a platinum or a white gold watch, a lot of them they just look like steel as far as most people could tell. And certain brands they don't. What is that? Do anything in a titanium case? Not yet. I the thing I don't like about titanium is they're so light. I like a certain heft to it. But titanium, I think for a sports watch, titanium is tremendous. Trap the watches with replicas. Yeah, have a big net drop on them when they grab the replicas or something. I don't know. You know, I for some reason, um, the it seems the British seem to have a lot of burglars. I and again, this may be a stereotype. We in America, we just shoot each other. We have robberies, all kinds of violent crimes, but our burglar's really not as good like a good English burglar. But a lot of guys from England, I've had even mugging for watches. They probably know more about watches than our guys. Getting decoys to gaslight burglars is something I've thought of before, but it would have to be homages because I wouldn't want to fund the fake watch industry. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. You ever wear a watch with a tungsten case? I think I had one with a tungsten. rotor once, but not a tungsten case. My 50 Fathoms is titanium, but it, being a large watch, it still has some heft, yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, 50 Fathoms would have that. I feel luxury watches should be gold and platinum cases, yeah. I have some that are steel that are very, very luxury, at least as far as I'm concerned. I think my Lang& and Hein is one example of that, and it's got just the right amount of heft. Um, both of my Parmigianis are steel. There's it if it comes to having better, um, quality movement or gold or platinum, I'll go with the better quality movement, or the more interesting one. But I think that the official word from the Organization for High Horology that you should be made out of either gold or platinum. I don't know. I'll tell you one of the most popular and expensive and almost unobtainable watches is the FP Journe Blue, and it's got what's that stuff that they make that out of? It's not titanium. It's something else that very hard to work with, but great for a sports watch. Tantium. They're made out of tantium. Yeah, there you go, Abdul. Hey, they don't know the Lyrique. I wear one watch each side, rotate my collection, and experience them faster when I'm at home. Wearing two mechanical watches going outside, I still, you know, God, I, I I have I've done things that I probably aren't the wisest thing to do with some really excellent watches. I was taken out to recycle the other day, and I had on my resonance, and boy, if anybody ever who is of a mugger or something, like I said, my neighborhood doesn't have muggers. We got bears instead. I don't know. I enjoy wearing them no matter what. There was an article, or video or something I saw, and they were talking about how much they enjoyed wearing really good watches with informal outfits. You put on some blue jeans and a work shirt or something, or just or cargos, and you go out prancing around. You got like a $50,000 watch on. So I thought, yeah, that makes sense to me. Tantalum. That's right, Thomas. Oh no, they were killed for a replica Patek. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, you know, I don't know why. I, I lived at. I spent a Lent term at Cambridge University, and I never worried about theft or anything. And I go to London a lot. Um, I don't know. I mean, just the data indicates that. Whereas, we got just about everybody beat when it comes to gun homicides. Hey, Orange Hand, residents for recycling. Do for simplicity for mowing the lawn. There you go. I know. Hi, Eric. How many watches would you have in your collection? Quit. Man, that's exactly the kind of question I think that's important to ask. Hi, Russell. Oh, you get your Kadoki too. Those are nice ones. I like those. Going to NYC shows this fall. Concerned about wearing it in the city. Would would a would a beater hurt my chances of interacting with sellers? Oh boy. You mean if you're going to the Watch Time show? or you're just gonna go around a different shop. I gotta tell you, I'll give you a story. I was at, Cellini's on Park Avenue, and, I was interested in, Laurent Perrier watches. So I go in there I'm wearing my, chronomet Cervane, my FP Journe chronomet Cervane. And the thing is it's platinum, but like I said, it looks like, steel. So I go in there and man, that salesman knew exactly what it was. And you get treated very, very well with a certain kind of watch. So I think I don't know, your Kadoki too. I like, you're talking to someone who's fairly irresponsible. you know, I tell you, I wish I had more sense. They probably take one look at me and say, that guy's weird. I'm not gonna mug him. It's somebody else. Um, when my friend and I went to New York recently to visit FP Journe's, I forgot what watch I had on, but it was one of my better watches. And then I took with me my FP Journe Chronomet Cervane so it could be sent it off for service. Like I said, I don't know. Just, I tell you one thing that helps if you have a really good watch, have a crummy bag. I had this old leather, like a satchel, and it looked like the thing got run over by a car and there's spots and crummy looking. It was sort of a, a suede kind of thing. It was old and beat up. It didn't look like anything. Um, and it just, I mentioned it to him. So I got another. My wife didn't want to see me with this bag. I don't want to be caught in public with your ugly bag. So she got me another one, but it's just a black canvas one, the kind they give away at when you go to a conference or something. Or have a sort of like a conference bag. So I use that now, and it doesn't look like anything. Doesn't like that. That's not worth stealing. I'll tell you one time I went. A friend of mine and I, uh, we had gone to Jaeger-LeCoultre, and we'd gone there one time, and it sort of got the bum's rush. So this time we had to get some bribery at Tiffany's. So we went to Tiffany's first. Came back with those blue bags, and each of us had one. We went into Jaeger-LeCoultre, and suddenly, they wanted to be very helpful. You could have a can of soup in the bag that they wouldn't know. I'll tell you something really funny though. We went to just as when I went to FP Journe's, and now you got to have an appointment with them. When I went there, we went up to um, Van Cleef and Arpels. This is sort of the what I call getting a get out of jail free gift. So we went there, and that place it's right next to the plaza and Bergdorf, and across the street from Tiffany. Very, very high end, beautiful shop. You go in there, and I tell you, I swear to God, they got these guys who look like they could bend you in half and break you, but they're all in suits and they're all very nice. And then they take you to the front and they ask you about what you want. Well, I knew what I wanted. And because I knew what I wanted, it was sort of like, oh yeah, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. If you go into a watch store, the same thing I think applies. If you say this is, I'm interested in a chronomet Souverain, or I'm interested in whatever kind of watch that you're interested in. That probably helps. Knowledge always helps. We had a good time at Van Cleef and Arpels. They gave us a little chocolates, and so that place is on my A list. Anybody who gives chocolates out. When you wear a watch that shows you could buy the watch easily, make the sales rep more pleasant because he or she knows you mean business. Well, at least they think you mean business. You're right. Abdul's absolutely right. I mean, you go in and you look like a bum, but you got a good watch on. You get treated right. If you go in and you're all dressed up and you're wearing an Invicta, not so much. Hey, O'Neill, have wonderful experience in it at FP Joint. Great interaction. Oh God, yes, they do. O'Neill, did you have a an appointment and did you talk to William? When I saw poor William was in a, he's all banged up and had his arm in a sling when I saw him last. I'm in New York City. Really never gave a thought to wear my collection on the subway or whatever. Yeah. I tell you, the subway in Manhattan isn't the same as it is in the Bronx or Brooklyn or Queens. We have a son and daughter who live in Queens, and of course they don't take the subway. They come and drive and pick us up at the train station. Visited AP House in New York City also and enjoyed the experience. But they said that they would never sell a new guy a complicated watch. Never. That's interesting. They never sell a new guy a complicated watch. I wonder why not. I love what Van Cleef and Arpels had to offer at Watches and Wonders. They really know how to refine jewelry and watch designs creatively. They do. They really are amazing. This is one of the things about, I think, that we lose a lot if you see a watch by a known luxury company that's used to making, like Hermes, for example, or Fabergé, or Chanel. These, they're always associated with something other than watches. But some of them have watches that are the best you can get. I love what Van Cleef and Arpels had to offer on it. Oh yeah, them too. What time is it? Oh my God. Okay. Didn't have anybody to let me know it was frying pan time. Hey, listen, guys. I sort of ended up rambling today because I really didn't have a solution, but I know it's sort of like, hey, I thought, well, I'll talk to you guys about it, and one of you or all of you are gonna say, hey, this is the thing to do, Bill, and you can enjoy your collection a lot more. You got to find somebody a lot more responsible about watches than I am. I, I love watches. Oh, visited the AP boutique in Venice, Italy. The sales manager was Lebanese, and it was really cool experience. Tried several watches. Yeah, there's wasn't the guy that I think he ran Swatch and really turned it around was Lebanese, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, set up an appointment, talk to William. Yeah, he's not only a delightful gentleman, but he's coming to Chicago at sometime. Cool. Yeah, he was when I saw him, I was going to meet a guy there. The guy was coming up from Florida, and we were going to meet. We were going to go to FP Journe together. And what happened was the day he was going to be there, William was going to be in Miami, where my this is where my CS is right now. And so I had to sort of switch it around. So me and a friend went down to New York, and there's old poor Bill. I don't know what happened. I forgot. He told me, and I forgot what it was, but he was in some kind of accident. He's recovering now. Anyway, guys, listen, gotta go. I'm glad my microphone's working. I never know what it is and when it isn't. And we'll be back this afternoon. Be talking to. I'm trying to think. What would be a good? Hey, let me ask you guys. I never do this. I should. What would be a good topic for us to talk about this afternoon? Any ideas? I think I'll wear a different watch too. Fonts? I love fonts. Best watch and movement. That's another good topic. Vintage watches. I just don't know vintage that well, Thomas. Otherwise, I'd like to. Hi, Eric. All ears. Okay. All right. Hey, why don't we do that? Why don't we talk about watch fonts and the best watch movement? How does that sound for a topic? Ideals for a perfect watch collection, Gilberto. That's another good one. Silicon hairspring. I won't do it. I won't. We'll see you guys this afternoon. I'll come up with something, but thanks for the ideas. and everyone take care, be safe.